So this is Kashish Verma, Executive Member of Media and Public Relations Committee of IIM Raipur, and I welcome you and thank you so much for your time for giving for this interview.
Pleasure. I don't see it as an interview. It's a chit chat with one of the students. So I'm delighted to be present and having a chance to interact with you.
Thank you so much, sir. So I would just like to give a brief introduction of yours. Sir is the president of All India Management Association and served wonderfully for the tenure of around 10 years as a board member of IIM Raipur along with IIM Lucknow. Sir, this was a wonderful contribution for this institution and I congratulate you for this.
Well, I'm the lucky one to have had this experience. It was a wonderful experience from nothing to something.
Indeed, sir. So would you like to share any incident of yours that you came across as a BOG that stayed with you through still, I should say?
Well, it's I cannot really pinpoint one particular memorable moment. The one that if I go back, the one that I remember from the early days when we were in the GEC campus, where the classrooms and the hostel rooms were in the same building. And I was really shocked. The accommodation was very bad, very sparse. But the boys and all were very happy. The students were very happy. I was shocked. I said, my gosh, how can IIM have like this? No, we can't do this. They said, it's temporary, sir. It's okay. We are managing. So that whole attitude, I said, this is wonderful attitude. And if Indian youth is like this, then India has a great future. Because what I saw is, if I may use the word deplorable, the students at that time, 10 years ago, said, it's temporary. We have to make do. We are more interested in studies and graduating from an IIM. We'll make do with it, knowing that it's a temporary phase. So that experience stuck. And then come to the present moment, when I got a call from the director saying the students want to interact with you. I said, wow. It just shows that in the 10 years, we have really created an institute because students come here for 2 years, but the culture stays. And culture is very important. I think
Indeed, sir.
the culture that we have generated and created in IIM Raipur is something I am more proud of. Buildings anybody can make. You need the money, you get an architect to make a building. That's no big deal. But within that building, the culture that has been created, that look for Foundation Day, the students have taken the initiative to reach out to some people to get their views and to record their views. Shows that we've done something right in these 10 years to create that culture. And the beauty is, students like you are there for a year or two max, because this is not the end of your period. But cultures become, when a person joins, he has a slight influence on the culture, but the culture has a bigger influence on him. When we drive in India, we drive haphazardly, we horn, we cut lanes. We go to US, we drive very carefully, stick to our lanes, use blinker lights, don't horn. That culture overtakes us. Of course, there is the law also. Yeah. So I think you all reaching out to me, and I'm sure to many others, to record their views and to I don't know what you're going to do with it, publish them in some way or the other. It's going to stay with me for a while, seeing that, look, I'm glad we created an institute which is not just teaching the concepts of management, but making them much better human beings.
Thank you, sir. Like, even hearing this means a lot to us as well. So, like, my next question was in line with this only. And, like, rightly said that culture is what stays with the person even after, like, you are not that connected with the institute. Same applies to us, definitely. So, like, my next question was that only. Like, where do you see IIM Raipur in next 10 years compared to when you joined it?
One was tempted to think that Harvard, it will become the Harvard of India, the Harvard of the world. But I don't have that sort of aspiration. I think, if IIM Raipur, I see in 10 years to be a university, multidisciplinary. Uh, I'm not going to say world class, because everybody wants to be world class. Everybody can't be world class. You should aspire to be of a class, unique in its culture and in its offerings. Not as it's not just the offerings of the subjects, say that it is unique faculty in say data science or a unique faculty in economics that everybody will aspire for. So if I go back to my own life, that I spent 25 years in Jamshedpur. Those are the best years of my life. When I went to Jamshedpur, people said, "Tu kahan ja raha hai? Jamshedpur," which exact words of one of my friends, which hole in the ground you're going to? But the quality of life in Jamshedpur was so good that it was the best years of my life. So I'm looking at IIM Raipur to be a multidisciplinary university, and the time spent there by the students will be the best times of their life. Not
Yes, sir.
just because the parents send them money and they had a good time partying, that don't do, but that built they spent quality time shaping, you're at the flux, you're at an inflex point from being young boys and girls to becoming young men and women. And what happens to you in these years at the campus will shape you for the rest of your life. Today, I'm a product of what I was experiencing in Jamshedpur and Tata Steel. That's what has made me. And I'm hoping that although that was 25 years, that whether it's a 4-year program or a 2-year program or a 6-year program, IIM Raipur shapes people to their potential to be happy and successful, not just in terms of becoming managing directors, but reaching their potential, making a difference in life, making a difference to others around them. That's how I see it. Very different from what I
That's
would
nice
expect, you would
hearing that.
expect. Yeah,
So this
but I
reminds,
wanted to
like,
be a unique.
yes, sir.
I wanted to be a unique experience. That quality of life, the quality of campus, and this is something I've been always harping in board meetings with the directors, etc. And I'm happy that the current director is really pushing it. The quality of life should be really fantastic, and you don't have to have a good life by living in a big city. Big cities don't give you good lives. Because you waste time in infrastructure, logistics, moving from here to there. It's a struggle. But in places like Raipur, which has land, there's creativity, create lovely sporting facilities, cultural events. It should be a thriving township of its own, the campus. We have the land and we have the possibility of starting afresh. You create your own little Jamshedpur, if I may say.
Yes, sir. So yeah, like your words really reminded me of one of the sentences that director sir said in his address once, that you come here as boys and girls, but you leave from here, you will be men and women, and that is the change that an institute like IIM drives in.
That's right. I'm glad you said that.
So my next question is that, like, during your tenure over here and with respect to how today's education industry is changing, are there any gaps that you are finding between us and the institutes that you mentioned in your previous answer? And what are your thoughts of bridging this gap? And what should be the initiatives that should be taken from us as students as well?
I don't think I'm very competent to answer that question because I have not got into the academic side of the institute. I have not. One of the things I wanted to do was attend classes, but there was some hesitation for that because if you're an executive in a company and I was in Tata Steel, so you have to visit the factory. You can't sit
Yeah,
in the office.
true.
In IIM Raipur, what is the factory? The classroom. But
Hmm.
we never visited the classroom.
Hmm.
So that was one gap I had in my experience. So I can't really comment. But the only thing I'll say is that what we should be careful about in IIM Raipur is not to become too inward looking. Don't compare yourself with the past. Compare yourself with the environment around you. And IIM Raipur needs to send out its faculty, students to see what's happening around the world outside of Raipur, because then you'll know what changes are taking place.
Yes,
And
sir.
I know the director is sending professors out to various other colleges, attending programs, and there is a continuous environment scanning. And one of the things we need to do is create intrinsic motivation in our students and our faculty to do better. You know, there are two types of motivation. Uh, One is the usual incentive bonus and production, you know, there, which is a carrot and stick approach. If you produce more, you'll get more money.
Yes, sir.
But that is good in jobs that have an algorithm to the job, where, you know, I'm producing cars. If I, instead of 100, if I produce 110 cars, I'll get some reward. So there is a carrot and stick. You have to go to class. If you're late, you'll get punished. So that's that carrot and stick. So your motivation is to go to class on time. If you don't attend 75% of the classes, you cannot appear for the exam. Again,
Yeah.
that carrot and stick motivation.
Hmm.
But what really gets results is where there is an intrinsic motivation. The joy of doing a good job is the motivation of doing that job. You know, a good golfer wants to play more golf because he's playing good golf.
Yeah.
A bad golfer doesn't want to play more golf because he's not
Indeed,
playing
sir.
good golf. So that's the intrinsic motivation. So how do we create that intrinsic motivation in staff, teaching, non-teaching, and the students is something that has to be co-created. I think one weakness we have, and I say it not as criticism, but if you look at the software will be created by, and I don't mean software in IT terms, I mean in terms of, again, the culture and the operating system, is you have teaching staff, non-teaching staff, and students.
Yes, sir.
And then, of course, the environment around you. Because it's a government institution and we have grades, I think our weakest link in this is the non-teaching staff. I think the support that comes, and that is something I guess the board will look at it sometime to see how we can improve that aspect of the ecosystem that we have.
Thank you, sir. And my last but not the least question is that are there any valuable words of advice that you would like to share for the budding managers of our batch and upcoming batches of IIM Raipur?
Be happy. And how does one be happy? Just three things. You must have something to do, something to look forward to, and someone to love. It's a Chinese definition of being happy. And I found that to be most valuable. You know, if I
Yes,
got
sir.
an A plus in marketing or a B minus in marketing, it's fine. You made your best effort, do your best. But eventually, I think life is about happiness. Take a larger view. And the way of being happy is, at least for me, following these three things. Have something to do, appear, writing a case study, or studying for a case study, something to look forward to, whatever it could be, the next cultural event at IIM Raipur, and someone to love, your brother, for all your brother, sister, family,
Yes, sir.
till you find the life partner. And the other point I'll make is try to be a good human being. I think humility, listening to others, these are things that are not taught in class. That happen by day-to-day experiences. And being conscious of that, I think, is important. I would encourage that part of our curriculum and programs in IIM Raipur would be around spending time a little bit on yoga and meditation and knowing your own self. rather than, because it's all around business. What's the market? Know the market. But before
Yes, sir.
knowing the market, please know yourself. What is it that motivates you? Who are you? What are you? I'm being a little philosophical here, but it's time India took its rightful position in these areas for which it was well known. Yoga and meditation is something that's been there in our country for thousands of years. We've lost it. Now the Western
Yes,
world
sir.
is teaching it to us, which is sort of crazy. If you go back to those roots, I think we're good.
So, like, this was very insightful. Even I learned that it is not what just numbers that you get in your classes, but how you make the others feel, how you mark your presence in front of others, how comfortable you make them feel is what makes all the difference, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. We really appreciate your presence and your valuable insights that you shared with us. And I really hope to hosting you in future as well for our events. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.